We've been searching for the fountain of youth for a long time now, and we might be one step closer to actually finding it. And it's not some kind of magical water that makes you feel young again. We're actually starting to discover how aging actually works at a microscopic level inside your cells. We're studying other organisms that don't necessarily have the same small lifespan that we do and seeing kind of how those things actually work. And so we're getting closer every day to kind of reducing the effects of aging in humans and possibly at some point reversing it. And so I want to talk about one small step in that direction in this video right now, today. So from Science News, they say embryos appear to reverse their biological clock early in development. In mice, a rejuvenation event wipes out genetic signs of aging days after fertilization. So a sperm and an egg cell is called a germline cell. And we know that when a human embryo forms, the age of those cells is basically zero. It kind of starts fresh. So how is it possible that kind of an adult human with adult human aged cells can pass on cells to something else that don't have any age yet, that are not aged? That's very, very interesting. And they used to think that, well, maybe just these specific kinds of cells start at zero, that they don't inherit the age of their parents. Maybe there's some kind of process there that makes those cells different from other cells where the age of the parents is not passed on to their children. So I think this is really interesting. And what this study actually shows is that what probably is happening is a rejuvenation event actually inside those cells after fertilization. And this discovery could lead to a potential new line of research looking at how that process takes place and whether or not we can replicate that to reverse or slow down aging in adult humans. Maybe we can use this mechanism to age slower or better or not at all. And so they go on to say that as people age, so do all of our cells, which accumulate damage over time. But why our offspring don't inherit those changes, effectively aging a child even before birth, has been a mystery. When you're born, you don't inherit your parents' age, says Yukiko Yamashita, a developmental biologist at MIT, who studies the immortality of germline cells such as eggs or sperm. For some reason, you're at zero. Yeah, I never thought about that before, but it's very interesting. Experts once thought that germline cells might be ageless, somehow protected from the passage of time, but studies have shown signs of aging in eggs and sperm, dispelling that idea. So researchers have hypothesized that germline cells might instead reset their age after conception, reversing any damage. In a new study, scientists describe evidence that supports that rejuvenation hypothesis. Both mouse and human germline cells appear to reset their biological age in the early stages of an embryo's development. A rejuvenation period that takes place after an embryo has attached to the uterus sets the growing embryo at its youngest biological age, dubbed ground zero, researchers report June 25th in Science Advances. Understanding how germline cells reverse aging could help researchers develop treatments for age-related diseases such as arthritis or Parkinson's, says Vittorio Sebastiano, a developmental biologist at Stanford University School of Medicine who was not involved in the work. In such diseases, certain cells might become dysfunctional due to damage. Resetting the age of those cells could prevent them from causing problems. It's possible that this rejuvenation period can be leveraged and hijacked somehow to basically try to promote similar processes of rejuvenation in normal cells, he says. Yeah, that's kind of the very interesting part about this idea. Vadim Gladyshev, a biochemist and geneticist who studies aging at Harvard Medical School and Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, and colleagues used molecular clocks to predict the approximate ages of mouse embryos in the early stages of development. The clocks measure epigenetic changes, chemical tags on DNA that can accrue as cells age or are exposed to things like pollution. Such tags can change a gene's activity, but not the information that the gene contains itself. The scientists were studying the embryo's biological ages, which refers to the function and health of cells, in contrast with chronological ages, which mark time in years. By tracking epigenetic changes, the team found that the age of mouse embryos stayed constant during the first stages of cell division immediately following fertilization, but by around 6.5 to 7.5 days into development, after an embryo attached to the uterus, the average biological age of embryos had dipped, a sign that cells were undergoing some type of rejuvenation event. A mouse embryo's ground zero may be somewhere between 4.5 to 10.5 days after fertilization, the researchers say. At some point during development, though the exact point is still unclear, mouse embryos' biological age then began to climb once again. So it looks like this rejuvenation process happens after a full embryo is formed and it's attached to the uterus, which could also happen in human beings as well. And this article goes on to say that studying human embryos at the earliest stages of development is prohibited, so similar data for humans was unavailable. But it seems like it could be easily a similar process with us as well. So this study is a first step and poses more questions than answers, Sebastiano says, which is great. Some of those questions include: what mechanism pushes cells to reset their age? Are there specific genes that drive that process? And do all living things rejuvenate this way? So we're not sure exactly how this works, but at least according to this study, after an embryo is formed in mice, the embryo goes through a kind of rejuvenation process that resets the age of its cells basically to zero. And if we can harness that for some kind of good in humans, I think that's great. But much remains to be seen. I think we're going to see all kinds of developments in the field of anti-aging and futurism in the near future. I think the next 100 years is extremely exciting. We're learning more and more about ourselves and the universe, and I can't wait to share more of that knowledge with you every single day. I make a video like this and post one every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you enjoy videos like this, I want to invite you to join me every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time for another topic like this while you get ready for work or school or while you're enjoying your morning coffee like I do every single day. And either way, whether you decide to watch more videos or you just liked this topic, I'm Jim Wolf, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day.